Hey, all right out there. Saturday, the 8th of June, yeah. Got to install these coils in the front. And, the new shocks. The Old Man Emu. Miscellaneous going on here. This goes on here, but there's a plate that goes on top to retain this spring. The first thing you gotta do is compress the spring. Or the first thing you gotta do is take the old one off. Compress the spring, take that piece off, add it to this one, and put this back on in there. So let's see how this goes. This isn't a how-to video, so don't expect a whole lot of detail. But this is basically what it takes. You gotta unbolt these 3 screws up here, and that unloosens this top piece, okay? You gotta take the bolt out of right here, the bottom shock. You have to disconnect the sway bar links, which actually bolts up here. This thing goes like that. Goes through there. This has an Allen key you can fit in there, otherwise the whole bolt turns. See, the whole thing turns. So you got to find the right size Allen key. Goes in there and then twist the bolt off. Okay, so that's out of the way. On the bottom of the control arm down here, it's got 2 bolts down here holding the ball joint on. See that? Okay, so that's loose. This control arm is loose now, but it's awfully tight. It don't just drop down for some reason. Okay. One of the books says to pull off this splash guard. Okay, it takes 4 little bolts, but I was able to do it without taking it off. It was a pain in the ass. That would have been a little smarter to take it off first, but I'm a little impatient today. Because you got to take off the sway bar brackets right here that go onto the frame underneath. So you got to get your wrench in between this flimsy guard up into the frame and take that off. So that's off. What the heck was that? Something fell out. Anywho, yeah, so that's done. So now to get this thing out of here. My book says to pry down the lower control arm so you can slide it out somehow. Well, I would say you have to take the tie rod off. The tie rod's in the way. Okay, what I got to do now is the strut, right? You got to compress this before you take this bolt off here. This is under tension right now with the spring, so I got this fitted up with a spring compressor. Hopefully that's right. I gotta compress it just enough to loosen up the bolt. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. There you have it. I rented a spring compressor, and man, that spring compressor looked like it was gonna snap. And it wasn't compressing the spring long enough to get this nut off. It was still under tension. So I ran on down to Bear Frame and Wheel. Yeah, Bear Frame and Wheel. It's the only guys I trust doing my suspension work are wheel alignments. And for 30 bucks, he swapped these out for me on their machine there. You know, they got a spring compressor, professional type. Although they did have trouble getting this nut off of one of these struts, one of these shocks. I mean, they had to heat it up with a torch to get it off because the whole shaft was spinning. you know. So I'm glad they had to do it, not me. Although it cost me, I gave him extra. I gave him extra because it was at closing time. He says, "You got cash, we can do it. Otherwise, yeah, you have to bring it back Tuesday." So now I'll get cash, get to it, and I'll be right back. So I want to hit the ATM and I can get back to it here. Get these installed and back together.
Oh, thanks. No shots were actually fired, but the damage was done. We demanded that Dick Clark got us our very own station wagon, just like Bobby Lee and his man. So, we got it, and for the next 40 days of the tour, we drove overnight with our driver Randy at the wheel. Randy, then me in the middle, and then Barry Whitmore on the right. Carl Keith and Ray rode in the back.
Okay, there you go. It's all back together. Yes. So what I have to take off, I got to take off sway bar bracket. This sway bar bracket right here. It says to take off this splash plate, but you know what? You can just push it out of the way if you're smart. Stick something in there and hold it in place while you unscrew the 2 bolts from underneath. You got these 3 bolts on the top that hold the whole strut in place. Bolt holding the lower shock right here, and these 2 bolts underneath here on the ball joint. And the ball joint is one on each side. That drops down. Oh, remove the tie rod end so it's out of your way, because you want this area clear right here. So you can slide this out of the way, pull this sway bar out of your way, and the shock will come out fairly easy. Got it? Yeah. Alright, I'm starting on the rear, so I got the U-bolts loose, got the bottom of the shocks off, I got this driver's side shock off, and you see how it's got a thread, right? There's a nut on there. So if you got trouble turning the nut, the whole shaft will turn. So all you got to grab on is this little flat spot on the top. And you can put a little oil on there and turn it, but you'd have to back it up with your crescent wrench on the top. So I did the same thing on this one. Put my crescent wrench on the top piece and gave it a twist. Ended up snapping off the top of the shock absorber. That little flat spot on the top. Shit. I don't think I can cut that with a sawzall. That's like hardened steel, I think it is anyway. It's supposed to be. Well, I didn't think it'd do it, but good old sawzall was able to cut that off. I thought these things were supposed to be hardened, chrome hardened shafts. Anywho, it's off. Well, there's the new springs, there's the old springs. Quite a difference. So anyway, yeah. Sunday, I got the, did as much as I could yesterday, and this is what we got here. The rear, yeah, in the rear, they don't come with, the leaf springs don't come with the bushings on the back side for the, you know, where it mounts to the shackle over here. Why? I don't know. They come with the bushings for the front, but not for the back. And their instructions say you can use the old bushings or buy new bushings. You know, problem is getting them out of the old springs. They're like pressed in, and it was like shit, screwing around with that, trying to get them suckers out. So here's the bushing on the old spring on the passenger side. I tried pushing it out on my press, but shoot, ignitions are in there pretty good. Takes a special tool, you know, and I said screw it, I ain't gonna mess with it anymore. I tried. Probably end up tearing the whole thing up and having to buy new ones anyway. So anyway, it's Sunday, and I really, you know, there's no place open to get Toyota bushings. I got the Toyota part number, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm ready to take this side out, but it's just a waste of time if I don't get the bushings. Can't even put the shocks on until I get the bushings. I put the springs in first. So tomorrow after work, I got the leaf springs. I got the new leaf springs in the back of the Bronco here, and I'm gonna hit the Toyota dealer. Hopefully the Toyota dealer has the parts in stock. I'm gonna call them in the morning. I need to get this thing done here, and then I'll probably head on off to Atlas Spring. They did the leaf springs in my Bronco, and have them pop them in. They got the machine, it pops them right in. Or I may go down there first and see if they've got the bushings. They may not. That's what's up. Okay guys, Monday. Took the Bronco to work today. Loaded the leaf springs in the back and took it to, well, first I called the Toyota dealers looking for bushings, special order item. So I took the old leaf springs and the new leaf springs down to Atlas Spring, and they just swapped them out for me. Only charged me 15 bucks, so you can't beat that. So I got this side in right now. Well, it's in, but it's not bolted up yet, so that's where I'm at. I just got back from Atlas Spring, yeah. Alright, so here's a quick look at the springs, okay? These are the old springs. Actually, 2 leaves and 1 overload. These are the new springs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves and 2 overloads. So you got a lot thicker in here. Okay, the bushings, what they did is they popped these bushings out and they put them over here. Now that's what I read on their instructions, or that's what I heard. Or you can buy new bushings. The problem is getting these things out of there and putting them back in if you don't have the proper tools. So for 15 bucks, it saved me a whole lot of hassle in trying to make the tool for this, because I do have a press, but popped them in, popped them out in 10 minutes. So now, we're ready to roll. Last thing to do once I put everything on is to drop the drive shaft with it comes with a little shim kit put in there on the carrier bearing, or center bearing. I think it's carrier bearing. One thing I did hear people recommend is relocating your brake lines. The brake lines are a little short, as you can see right there. So I can either relocate, I think, the top bracket, or I'll probably just put longer brake lines. Well, yeah.